trying to spend the last of it on some alcohol, drink away the sorrows, you get what I mean. So, of course, having a good time until the recruitment officer comes in. He's like, hey, how'd you like to go to paradise on earth? La Forteresse de Louisbourg, biggest fortress in North America, full of lots of women, great money, and great weather. Of course, that's only half true, as I'll come to find out. But in my inebriated brain, I'm like, sure, why not? I've got nothing to lose, of course. So I get shipped off. It's about a 6-week journey. When I arrive here, it's the dead of winter. I mean, there's snow on the ground. I think, hey, maybe that's a temporary thing. And of course, it's not. It snows for an entire week. But that's besides my problem. So I get assigned to the Compagnie Franche de la Marine. It's basically the army here. We're technically a Navy detachment, but hardly any of us have seen a boat besides the one that took us here. You can actually tell by the anchor that I have on my cartridge pouch that I'll talk about in a little bit. So I get assigned to live in the barracks here, the King's Bastion, right in this entire right side of the building. There's actually about 24 soldiers, so I've got good company. You're actually sleeping with another soldier in the bunk with you, technically a third one, but he's always out working. We do entire day shifts at the guardhouse here. This is actually one of 5 in the entire fortress. So when we come here, we kind of sit around, wait for orders. That could be things like perhaps doing guard duty, doing patrol, and maybe if they feel really petty, they can make you chop some wood, cut some grass, really anything to make you useful around here. But the thing is about that, you're not really allowed to take many breaks in that time period. So what happens is if you're caught maybe, let's say, sleeping on the job in those bunks that are very tempting in there, you can actually get pretty harshly punished for that. So if you guys can see right behind me, there's a wooden horse. That wooden horse is our form of punishment. So a guy like me who's caught doing something he's not supposed to, he gets taken with his hand tied behind his back like this, both hands, and something like a musket or a cannonball if you're really bad, tied to your feet. So what that's going to do the horse is going to start to dig into your groin region. Very painful. And if that's not enough for you, all your soldier comrades are going to see you completely humiliated up there. You're going to be the talk of the town for the better part of the month, so you don't want that to happen. So I got to be on my best behavior. But when I'm done work, I can actually do a bunch of different things. We have 2 days off, 48 hours. So maybe I could go back and get a little bit of sleep because I'm obviously going to be very calmed after a whole day's work. But I can also perhaps play a couple card games with some friends. We really love gambling around here. In fact, some days we'll show up without even the most essential of material. One day I lost my powder horn. I had an officer yell at me, so I had to pick up a new one, and that was not cheap. Of course, we also drink a lot of alcohol here too. Rum is our favorite, of course. It actually comes up on ships from the Caribbean, very cheap. So they actually like to pawn it off on soldiers around here. Get 7 or so liters of rum, that's enough to last you for a while. And as you can imagine, drunkenness is a very common problem. There's actually stories of soldiers drowning in the well downtown. They wander around late at night when there's nobody walking the streets. And since they can't see anything and they're completely inebriated, they often tend to fall in. And since the average soldier can't swim, well, that doesn't really buy very well. Of course, we also tend to work on our days off too. Our soldiers' pay isn't that great actually. See, in a month, we actually make about 1.5 livres. That's actually spending money. Technically, we get more than that, 9, but most of that's actually docked. So you have to pay for your own lodging, your own food, basically everything. So we're left with 1.5 to spend on whatever. So let's say a barrel of rum that I was talking about earlier, you can afford that, or a single leather shoe like this. Not both, just one. So it's your guys' pick. What do you guys say? Rum or shoe?
Rum!
Exactly. There you go. So I guess I'll get a little bit into my equipment now. So I'm wearing a full standard Compagnie Franche uniform. I'm an infantry soldier. That's kind of like the grunts of the fortress. You might also see cannoneers and drummers walking around, and they have a couple differences that I'll get into. So first of all, I have a tricorn hat. This is basically the standard for most armies in the 18th century. It actually quite helps with the wind, because if the wind's blowing this way, it kind of directs it around. And of course, rain too. It actually kind of acts as a water spout, so you can tip your hat out like this. Pretty nice. As well, I'm given two ties. So just like this, a cravate in French. Underneath that, I'm wearing an undershirt or a chemise. I have an overcoat on, but underneath that is called my veston. It is a standard blue color. It's actually quite faded now because I've been in the sun for so long, but that is given as a standard for most infantry soldiers. As well, I have an overcoat that I'm wearing. This overcoat is called a justaucorps. It's actually only given on off years. So what happens if you're unlucky enough to be sent here on a year that they don't issue it, you're going to have to buy it for yourself because you're going to freeze to death in the winter time if you don't have it. Temperatures are very cold around here and the wind's terrible. So that means soldiers go into debt. And debt means that you have to do more work. What happens is we get a minimum term of 6 years. And if we ever owe money in that period of time and we still haven't paid it back, then they're going to give us a choice. Would you rather go to prison or do 6 more years? 6 years. So it's basically like indentured servitude. So I'm basically not escaping from this job unless I have a very good reason. There's actually stories of very good bricklayers who actually got amnesty and they got discharged to work elsewhere, which is pretty nice, but a guy like me is probably going to stay. Of course, just to wrap this up, underneath I have my breeches, pants, kind of like shorts, but your legs aren't ever showing because you're always wearing these socks or stockings. Of course, I get 2 pairs of leather shoes too, and of course, they're a month's wage. You don't want to get them all dirtied up on your day off, so you'd actually wear wooden shoes instead. And finally, I'd like to talk about my gun. So this thing is called a 1734 Grenadier's musket, also called a toll musket because it's made in toll France. So it's a muzzle loader, which means you actually put your charge down the muzzle here, and it's smooth bore, which means it's not rifled. So there's no it's not carved in the inside. It's basically less accurate. Essentially, it's just a flint and steel attached to a giant metal tube. So how this works is there's a hammer here with a piece of flint on it. That piece of flint is going to strike the steel of the frizzel, and that creates a spark. So we're actually going to put gunpowder in this pan here, as well as a cartridge down the barrel. And I also ram the cartridge down, and then that's going to fire off. So if you guys like to join me, I'm actually going to fire this right now. So I'm going to just stand over there, and I'd like to ask anybody to keep along the gravel here, just a safe enough distance. I'll tell you where when I get there.